The previous generation Toyota 4Runner was in production for 15 years. That is a long time. But it seems like Toyota has taken their sweet time in giving us a brand new 6th generation 4Runner. So, was it worth the wait? Let's go for a drive and find out. One of the first changes that you'll notice as soon as you start driving the 2025 Toyota 4Runner is the new powertrain. It's available with two engines now. A 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, which is what this one has, or a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with hybrid assist. The non-hybrid version produces 278 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. Power-wise, it is just a tiny bit more than the old V6, but it has a lot more torque, and it's lower in the RPM range. So you don't really need to rev this engine all that much to get this big and heavy SUV going. However, when it is fully loaded with passengers and cargo and you're going up a hill, let's say, or merging onto a highway, you do need to push down a little bit harder on the throttle pedal. I wouldn't say that this engine feels underpowered for this SUV, but at times it does feel like as though it's straining. I guess that's why the optional hybrid engine is available. Also, this engine doesn't feel as lazy as the old V6 did. At least that's the impression that I got when I last drove the previous generation 4Runner. Another big change for this powertrain is the new transmission. You get 3 more gears, so it's now an 8-speed automatic transmission instead of the old 5-speed automatic. Just like the 5-speed, the gears are smooth at changing, and they are just a little bit faster to respond whenever you put your foot down on the throttle pedal. But don't expect Porsche PDK responsiveness. There still is a slight delay. However, the biggest change with the performance of the 2025 4Runner is its drivability. It doesn't feel as cumbersome as the old one did. The steering is direct, it's nicely weighted when you're driving on highways and also when you start to turn. Of course, it is a little bit light for more enjoyable driving, but then again, this isn't supposed to be some sort of sporty driving SUV. When you're braking, there's less nose pitch. When you're turning, there's less body roll. So overall, this new 4Runner just drives a lot better than the old one did. And thanks to the new hybrid powertrain, this new 4Runner is faster and more economical than the old one. Now, of course, this hybrid powertrain is heavier than the non-hybrid version, but thanks to the instant torque of the electric motors and the amount of torque that this powertrain produces, it feels effortless when you set off from a stop or merge onto a highway. Just gently roll on the throttle and this powertrain picks up immediately without any fuss, even when it's loaded. I recently had to take my parents to the airport and they had 3 or 4 suitcases in the back, really big and heavy ones. But even when we were going up a hill, this powertrain felt like as though it wasn't struggling whatsoever. Being a hybrid, of course, you expect it to be economical, and it is. It gets much better fuel economy than the old V6, and even better than the non-hybrid version. But currently, I'm averaging 11 liters per 100 kilometers, which is more than what this SUV is rated for. And that's something that I've noticed with all of Toyota's Hybrid Max powertrains. From the Tacoma, the Tundra, the Grand Highlander, and so on, I've never been able to get the rated fuel economy numbers or be in between them. Whereas with the gasoline-only versions, I was able to get within the city and highway fuel economy numbers. And with the regular efficient type of hybrid powertrains, I've been able to get better than advertised fuel economy numbers. But with the Hybrid Max, never once have I been able to get what it is rated for. This one comes close at 11 liters per 100 kilometers, but it's still more than what it's rated for. Not complaining, just an observation. Fuel economy aside, the new Toyota 4Runner retains its off-road capabilities. There are 3 primary off-road trims to choose from: TRD Off-Road, TRD Pro, and Trail Hunter. The TRD Off-Road doesn't quite come with all of the off-road goodies of the higher spec trims, but it still has crawl control, multi-terrain select, 18-inch off-road wheels and all-terrain tires, locking rear differential, Bilstein shock absorbers, and part-time four-wheel drive. Moving up to the TRD Pro and Trail Hunter trims will add features such as a disconnecting front sway bar, Fox or Oldman EMU shock absorbers, underbody protection, and 33-inch all-terrain tires. The cabin of the 2025 Toyota 4Runner is pretty well put together. There's no squeaks or rattles, even when you're driving over bumpy and actually even when you're driving over forest service roads. It doesn't squeak or rattle at all. As for cabin noises, there is a little bit of wind noise, but it's not as bad as the previous generation when you're driving on highways. The most noise that intrudes into the cabin though is road noise. Granted, this particular trim of the 4Runner is the TRD off-road, so the tires are a bit more off-road focused than the Platinum trim, for example. So that's why it produces just a bit more road noise. And as for engine noise, it's not too bad so long as you keep the RPMs below, say, 2500 RPMs. Above that, this engine does get quite noisy. As for the ride of this Toyota 4Runner, it is a little on the stiff side. Bigger bumps and potholes don't really upset the ride that much because the suspension deals with it effectively. However, at higher speeds, when you're driving over moderately sized potholes or smaller ones, that's when you really feel the jitteriness of the suspension. On the other hand, this Platinum Hybrid Max version comes equipped with adaptive suspension, and these dampers cope better with bumps than the TRD Off-Road does. The ride is much more plush. However, if you switch the drive mode to Sport Plus, then the ride does become a bit more jiggly. The interior of the Platinum Hybrid Max does feel a little bit nicer than the interior of the TRD Off-Road, and that's mainly down to the blue leather that's on the center console, on the glove box, on the door panels, and of course the seats. It is still a little bit of a plasticky interior with more plastics on the dashboard, especially on the top portion of the dashboard, and of course the lower portions of the center console and door panels. But like I said, the addition of the blue leather with the contrast orange stitching does make it feel a little bit more premium in this Platinum trim than the TRD Off-Road. As for the functionality and design, this 4Runner's interior looks almost identical to that of the Tacoma because it is based on the Tacoma. So that means it is very simple to use the climate controls, all of the controls that are on the center console, and also the controls that are mounted on the steering wheel. Thankfully, Toyota has not followed the current design trend of using capacitive touch controls or integrating climate controls into the infotainment touchscreen. Speaking of which, the infotainment system is the same one that is used throughout many other Toyota vehicles. It does support wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and it is fairly easy to learn the system if you've never seen it before and to navigate around it. As for interior space, I have no issues in these front seats for my 6'4" height, plenty of legroom and plenty of headroom, but I did lower the seat to its lowest position. Even so, I have excellent visibility over the front hood. Blind zones are not that bad, and the view out the back is hampered just a little bit by the second row headrests, but on this Platinum trim, all you have to do is flip up the mirror and you get an unobstructed view out the back because it does have a rear camera mirror. On the TRD Off-Road, it doesn't have that. In fact, I think this is the only trim that comes with this rear view mirror. But otherwise, it's pretty okay. And yeah, that's about it for the front seats. Now let's go check out the back seats. In the second row, space is a little bit tight for my above average height sitting behind my tall driving position. My knees are digging into the back of the front seat, but thankfully the backs of these front seats are not made out of hard plastic. Instead, it's soft leather. Also, my feet do feel a little bit tight when this seat is at its lowest position. Headroom, it's okay. I can feel my hair just gently brushing up against the headliner. These back seats though do recline, so you can be at a bit more of a laid back angle, but they don't slide forwards and backwards. Also, this 6th generation 4Runner is available with a third row, but you can never have it with the hybrid powertrain because the battery takes up cargo space in the back. You can only have the third row with the non-hybrid versions of the 4Runner. In the trunk, the non-hybrid variant has 1,269 liters of cargo space behind the second row. The hybrid version has 1,206 liters of space due to the higher floor. The hybrid version does get a couple of small storage bins at the edge of the cargo floor. With the rear seats folded, the non-hybrid variant provides 2,381 liters of space, while the hybrid version has 2,339 liters of cargo space. One thing to note is the abrupt transition of the cargo floor to the folded up second row seats in the gasoline-only version of the 4Runner. This step is not as dramatic in the hybrid version, but it's still there. Additionally, both versions get spare wheels which are located underneath the SUV. The entry-level SR5 trim of the new 4Runner doesn't provide much in the way of convenience features. In Canada, it comes equipped with an 8-inch touchscreen with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, manually adjustable heated front seats with cloth upholstery, an 8-speaker audio system, Bluetooth, manual air conditioning, and LED headlights. But at the other end of the spectrum, the Hybrid Max Platinum trim is brimmed with convenience features. Some of these include heated front and second row seats, heated steering wheel, ventilated front seats, leather upholstery, a larger 14-inch infotainment touchscreen, a fully digital driver display, a head-up display, a power sunroof, surround view cameras, dual-zone automatic climate controls, digital rear-view mirror, a 14-speaker JBL audio system, and a wireless phone charging pad. So with all of those gadgets and all of the changes to this 2025 4Runner, it is more expensive than before. It now starts at $54,200 for the SR5 trim, and this TRD Off-Road Premium is about $64,000 Canadian. If you want the 4Runner with the hybrid powertrain, then it starts at just over $67,000 Canadian. That's for the TRD Off-Road trim. If you want this Platinum trim, it'll cost you almost $74,000 Canadian. All of these prices are without fees, taxes, and dealership markups. I think for the first year at least, all brand new Toyota 4Runners are going to have some sort of markup on them. But if you can find a dealership that doesn't put any of them on it, let me know in the comments. The Tacoma influence continues to the outside as the front end looks almost identical to that of the new Toyota Tacoma. Again, that's not such a bad thing because I happen to like how it looks. The chin spoiler though does seem a bit out of place, but it's there for aerodynamic efficiency. On the side, the new 4Runner looks almost the same as the old 4Runner. Around the back, the new taillights are a little bit reminiscent of the BMW M2, but otherwise it doesn't look too bad. And of course, the rear window does drop at the push of the exterior buttons or via the switch inside the cabin. As for safety, the 2025 Toyota 4Runner is equipped with almost every safety and driver aid as standard. Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 is included in all trims, and there are not too many additional add-ons as you move up in the trim levels. Some of these add-ons include intuitive parking assist with auto braking, surround view cameras, and crawl control. So the new Toyota 4Runner's biggest strength is its drivability. It is so much nicer to drive than the previous generation, and a lot of that has to do with the new choice of powertrains, especially this hybrid powertrain. It feels so much more effortless compared to the old V6 and even compared to the 4-cylinder gasoline-only version. But getting your hands on this hybrid powertrain is going to cost you a lot of money, especially if you go for the higher end trims like the Trailhunter. Factory in taxes, fees, and dealership markups, and it's almost $100,000 Canadian for a Toyota 4Runner. That is a hard pill to swallow. As for the non-hybrid version, again, that engine does drive a lot better than the previous generation, but if you load up the 4Runner or tow with it, it does seem like as though that engine is struggling just a little bit. So I don't really know what to think of the new 4Runner. On one hand, it does drive better, it's more economical, very comfortable as well. But on the other hand, how reliable are these new powertrains, and is it really worth the amount of money that Toyota is asking for the new 4Runner? What are your thoughts on this new 4Runner? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to know more about this 2025 Toyota 4Runner, both this hybrid and the non-hybrid version, I have a more detailed written review of them over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner right up there. And as always, I will see you in the next car, truck, or most likely another SUV like this one. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.